Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Startup Junkies Podcast. It may sound clearer today. I've officially have a real mic, podcasting mic. We are gone from amateurs to professionals, and we are so excited for you to hear this first professionally recorded episode. My name's Caleb. I am joined by my co-host, Jeff Emerine.
Hey, how you doing, Caleb? Great to be here.
Doing great. And fans of the show might recognize that our other co-host, Matthew Ward, is not with us today. He has gone on to a job at Stevens Inc. And we wish him the best of luck. We will introduce you to our new podcast our new intern on the next podcast. Excited to introduce you to him. But today I'm going to introduce you to John Vuong. John is the founder and president of Local SEO Search. He's a seasoned sales professional and internet marketer through 15 years of experience working with CEOs, business owners, and marketing leaders. At some of Canada's most successful corporations, John developed a deep understanding of local marketing dynamics and consumer behavior. His entrepreneurial spirit and experience working with more than 5,000 local business owners inspired him to start his own company, Local SEO Search, in 2013, and we are excited to have him on. Welcome, John.
Thanks for the intro, Caleb, and nice to meet you as well, Jeff.
Yeah, great to have you on. You want to start by giving us a little bit of the origin story? We kind of do that almost like X-Men, right? We want to know, what was your first encounter with Dr. Xavier in the beginning?
Yeah, definitely. So as you mentioned, I was born in Canada. My parents are from Vietnam, so they left the war. I'm fourth child of immigrant parents escaping the war. They came with not a lot of language and money, right? So we were government housing. We didn't have much growing up. Shelter food was pretty much what we survived on. We had one toy among 4 kids. We didn't travel much. We didn't go to birthday parties, no sleepovers, but that was normal. And I was very happy to then have, choice, right? Because my parents really sacrificed their generation for us, right? To live a better life where we have abundance and access to education, freedom, and choice. So I understood that, and growing up, I worked. I spent a lot of time since I was like 9 years old. I was a newspaper boy. I had 20 jobs before I finished, got into university, and since then I was working. So I really worked on that habit, right? Work ethics, family values, understanding how and what it took to earn a buck and to survive, right? And I went to school for business finance. And then right afterwards, I got into advertising sales. And that's how I learned how to be really good at listening, asking, probing, and building that connection to really help business owners. And I learned a ton from Zig Ziglar's, Ryan Tracy, all the greats, right? In terms of sales. Went to a lot of conferences, read audio tapes, and absorbed from great just sales professionals. And in those 10 years, I dabbled in traditional advertising sales, online performance-based affiliate, as well as then directory advertising sales, where I worked at Yellow Pages. And that's where I met tons of business owners, and I really connected with them to really do what I do today because of them.
Awesome. And you touched on your, the experience of your parents, and imagine that leap of faith that they took to come to Canada. I'm sure that had an impression on you and possibly your entrepreneurial spirit from a young age growing up. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, like at that time when I was young, I just felt I wasn't fitting in. Like being a teenager young, I was like, why do people have nice clothes, nice cars, driving, going to places, having sleepovers, birthday parties when we didn't have much, right? So for me, I was like, I wanted that. I was curious. I was always like reading and absorbing and trying to fit in, right? But as I matured, I understood what they sacrificed. And just not too long ago, 2 years ago, I went back to Vietnam with my mom. And she brought me back to her original, where they were brought up. And some of the relatives I've never met in my life. So it was great as a full circle to see their upbringing, how they survived and what they left, where to come here for us, right? Which is us children. So it was great to just see it firsthand and live it, because it's different when you hear stories, but actually living it and seeing it is, you want to see it with your own eyes.
That sort of adversity, and I think that it teaches you how to hustle, and you don't take anything for granted. Anything that you achieve when you come from a working background, you appreciate a little bit more, because nothing was ever given to you. I mean, I know I've seen that. I think I reflect on my own parents and their process, Depression era, growing up and farm and working really hard during some very tough times. And that perspective is sometimes lost on people. I think you see it on a firsthand basis because you lived it. But many of the entrepreneurs that are successful, whether they're immigrants from somewhere else or whether they're here, if they've had a bit of a hard scrabble start, that drive and that hunger is a little bit more there. And I think there's maybe even a little bit more appreciation of how hard it really is to do well.
I totally agree. Like that perseverance, that grit, that determination, when you have the work ethic, when you understand what it used to be and you don't want to live that life again, right? The desire to then have more choice, abundance, living without fear of not having shelter or food, right? And these are things that only Western society culture really have the opportunity to live, right? Like if you live in the third world country, it's hard to get ahead because there's restrictions on not just job opportunities, but like just even with a career, right? Even if you are one of the higher paying ones, you don't really have the same sort of opportunities that we have here in North America or in UK or Australia, first world countries, right? So making that as a very important aspect of how you perceive things in life, of not being given stuff. And everything means you got to put in that time. You got to put in the hard work. And yes, there's going to be a lot of rejection, failure, and, hard grit that you have to persevere, right? That's what molds you as an entrepreneur, I feel, like a business owner, because every time you're encompassed with a hard challenge, what do? Do you fold, or do you kind of follow through and keep going ahead, moving forward, right? Failing forward, really.
Absolutely.
And I'm curious to know, John, what that tipping point was for you, having worked in that space, and then in 2013, when you decided to kind of take that leap, what was the tipping point for you to decide this is what I want to do and this is where I'm going?
So I had a really good career in sales, like top 1-2% in an organization at Yellow Pages, where it was a unionized sales force, the only unionized sales force in Canada, where then I was top 2%, where I was getting these trips, right? Winning all these awards. And it was more about, okay, I can live comfortably at a salary, decent pay, and I was at a different pivotal point in my life where I was now getting married, moved in with my wife, and I had to either step up or try something that is going to be different. And also at Yellow Pages, I knew there was writing on the wall. The last couple of years were challenging. Every meeting that I had was more about trying to save the account, right? People were frustrated. The return on investment was lower. People were pivoting. The user behavior shift was happening to digital. And I knew that I either jump on board to a different agency, right? Like work at Facebook, Google, whatever, Amazon, whatever it is, or try something different. And I had full support from my wife at that time to try something. And therefore I tried it because I had, she had her salary and whatnot. So for me, it was more timing to jump on. And my mindset was clear on, I'm going to give it all. I'm determined to make it work. So I bootstrapped everything. I made it work. And, it's different than getting VC money, right? It's different pitching it, coming up with a business plan. I had no business plan. I had no idea how to run a business. All I knew was I wanted to help these business owners at Yellow Pages because I saw that they were the best humans alive. They supported the community. They worked hard, like restaurant owners, right? Farmers, any business guy that was in the local market, right? Retailer, service based, they worked their butt off for what? To support their family, to support their community. They understood how to run a business. And it was more about the time they put in, right? And it maybe not 5-10 years, it could have been generations that they were harvested into this new business that they now had to endure. So they're great, hardworking, honest people that I wanted to support. So that's why I drove into doing what I do today, to support those business owners. So I have that ultimate drive to give, to help. And I didn't know anything about SEO, no technical background. I just knew that this was what I wanted to do, help them transition to digital. And I didn't believe in paid ads. So I was like, okay, SEO. I got to help them get on that first page. How in the world am I going to do it? I figured it out. I started learning. I started just like in sales from day one, right? In order to learn, you got to educate yourself, get in, deep, and make mistakes.
Are they still your ideal customer? You started out with this passion for kind of traditional, local, small businesses. Is that still who you go after today?
Yeah, definitely, because that's the root of what I stand for, right? Like, I know I could, go after bigger brands for more money potentially, but I'm not in it for the money. Like, I'm in it to help give, right? The small, medium-sized businesses. And yes, I'm a different beat. Like, there's a lot of people going into business for different reasons, right? I feel they need the support more than anyone else, especially during this pandemic, right? And I feel like if there are businesses looking out for them, and most SEO agencies go after the bigger brands because it's a lot of work to take care of a campaign and make a small margin for a small business owner. But someone has to do it. And I felt, look, I resonate with them. I get them and I want to help them. And most SEO companies will only go after bigger ticket, bigger brands because it pays the bills. So for me, I found like that's my market, and it really impacts why I do what I do, because it's not for the money, right?
Sure. How have you been able to take that strong cultural conviction and brand promise, and as you bring on new team members or new contractors, how do you instill or imbue those cultural commitments you have to new team members?
Yeah, so the onboarding is very important for me, because it's all about values, core values, personality, and ensuring that it's in alignment with what I believe in and what our go-to-market strategy is. So for us, it's vetting. Like, over the last 8 years, we made a lot of mistakes hiring the wrong people based on skill set. But as I matured into the business, I got to really harvest and hone in on who my ideal, not just staff and employee and client is, but getting better by just constantly doing, right? Learning and figuring it out. Eventually, we get a lot of internal referrals now, just like referrals from clients. You kind of know based on what they see and who they surround themselves with and how they act, that it would be a good fit.
And you mentioned that you didn't necessarily care for paid advertising. So if you're, I do a lot of the marketing consulting with Startup Junkie, and clients come to us and they, where do I advertise? How do I do this? How do I do that? What would you tell them? They've been, I guess, trained to think that they've got to, buy a $2,000 page in a magazine or pay X number of dollars to advertise across Google AdWords. What would you tell them in regards to utilizing SEO?
Yeah, so SEO, I deal with a lot of service, product, local, small, medium-sized businesses that understand how to run a business. And they have that fundamental instilled, and they already have an ideal type of persona, avatar of their type of clients they want to resonate with. So I don't want to train people. And with a lot of entrepreneurs and startups, they may be in the mindset of not being crystal clear on their go-to-market, who they want to resonate and target. So paid ads make sense to figure out which mediums their ideal customers absorb content from, how they want to position. It's really figuring out after a couple years of getting revenue and understanding that these clients are lifetime value, nurtured relationship clients that you want to continue building. And over the years of learning this, paid ads come with different parameters, right? You can stop, start anytime, try different mediums. You can see what's going on. SEO is behind the scenes, behind the curtains, where a lot of people don't really see what's going on, like a link building campaign. No one knows what's happening, right? The ongoing technical implementations on some of the changes in A/B testing, no one sees it. It's not really visible. So people want to see trade shows. They want to see magazines, newspaper, radio ads, because they can visibly see it. But what's happening is, just like how Yellow Pages did so well for over 100 years, it was an inbound marketing strategy where when people are ready to buy, they seek out that Yellow Pages, ready to make that decision by picking 5 vendors, calling and quoting. Now Google kind of replaced Yellow Pages, and SEO has replaced that Yellow Pages categories. Yes, there's paid ads, fine, flat back page, whatever. That's Google ads. Google makes their money by matching websites with the user's intent, right? For you to continue going back to Google because you trust, and they're going to store your history. They know your behaviors, and they're going to bring these websites based on your, interests, and hopefully you continue going back to Google, right? So understanding the Google business model, understanding what business owners should do, and understanding your customers, your prospects. If you're now trying to be more visible, prominent, and if you own that real estate on that first page, you're getting ready to buy active customers, intent focused, and they trust you because they trust Google. And that's a different persona of those clients versus paid ads. And people don't understand the difference, but I'm in this advertising world and I kind of get it a little bit more than the average business owner.
As you look at all the services where you started and where you're going, what does that look like? Are you doing influencer work? Are you adding some of those other agency components to the offerings at this point beyond SEO?
Yeah, so my big bread and butter has always been full service SEO, which is boutique to help those small, medium-sized businesses compete with the big brands who have in-house and big resources. And so that's always been my core. And I'm always trying to add value. I'm always trying to do everything, which is, technical, dev, on-page, off-page, link build, social, reputation, graphics. And yes, influence marketing, we have experts, but we don't go all in because that's a different segment altogether. Right? That's a product play, and it could be, product placement, and it's just trying to get a different KPI metric. When I look at a small, medium-sized business, their main goal is survival and really sales, revenue, profitability, which resonates with me because that's what really matters in the day-to-day business environment of small, medium-sized business, not subscribers, likes, shares, and more newsletter trips or emails. Sure. People want real tangible results. And that's what I try to deliver for all my clients.
That's fantastic. Go ahead, Caleb. I'm dominating here. Go ahead.
No, you're right. I was going to ask, there very few entrepreneurial journeys that don't have the hiccups along the way. What would you say were some of your hiccups early on?
Yeah, like I still have hiccups. Don't get me wrong. It happens, and it's how do you endure it, right? Like look at this pandemic. Like no one knew how, here in Canada, just to give you a perspective, we're still in lockdown, right? We're stay-at-home orders, and it got extended until June 2nd, right? So it's longer than ever, and things are closed, but most of my clients understand why they need us. We are an extension to their business, and they haven't cut our services because they need us when things open. It's positioning. It's making sure they're visible, and we're a revenue generator for them. Without us, it's going to be very difficult for them to get back to, sustaining their revenue targets, et cetera. So understanding all that, and, there's going to be hiccups. hiring the wrong people, the processes, the systems, marketing strategy, everything. I mean, I've endured every single problem as an entrepreneur business owner. And, it's how you endure it. It's being decisive, trying to follow through, trying to grow forward, fail forward, and having fun and still being positive, because there's some very stressful nights. A lot of things goes on when you're the owner or you're the founder, right? No one gets it until you do it yourself, and you sleep and breathe and you think about your business more than anyone in your business. Like your staff, your clients, no one cares about it more than you. Your significant other has no idea either, right? Why do you wake up at 1 a.m. or 2 a.m.? It's because you're thinking about your business all the time, right? So it's like that passion. I still have it. I still drive it. I love what I do. I love my team. I love, the clients I have, and I'm going to continue doing what I do.
You're going to serve U.S. clients, or do you already have some based in the States?
Yeah, so that's one of the big initiatives I have going, because yes, we've picked up a couple, but I haven't really marketed it strongly in the US. And these are one of the platforms I'm doing, like speaking, podcasting. I'm building a community. I'm doing a book launch. All these things make for, newsworthiness, right? And the impact in the US economy. So it's just starting that plan, because I've always wanted to be on core of Canada as a test market, to make sure that it's sustainable and I can grow. Now that I have feasibility studies and I have a lot of case studies, I now have this 10 times market share in the US economy that I want to crack and learn from it. Yes, I'm going to make mistakes. Yes, I'm going to enjoy it, but hopefully it's going to be fun. And that's ultimately why I'm doing what I'm doing.
It's awesome.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go.
I was going to say, and it would seem too that the one positive thing that came out of the pandemic is the sales process for a digital agency. You don't have to necessarily meet somebody at a trade show or see them in a city. I mean, it would strike me that all the digital tools that you're well schooled in using are going to help you do your own customer acquisition in the US, because people are not, I mean, time and distance doesn't matter. Now you can have clients in any market at this point based on the prowess and the merits of what you deliver.
It's very true. And again, it's a cultural nuance. Americans are different. It's a cultural difference, right? And I just have to understand that. And, being able to travel to different cultures and countries, I am totally aware. And for me to jump in, not doing the same thing that I'm doing here in Canada to a different country, like even Australia, UK has different culture nuances.
Sure.
And I have to figure it out. And I have to endure the challenges and tribulations and make sure that I have buffer, I have room for growth, and having people in place, the right people, and making sure that I enjoy the process ultimately. Because if I'm not enjoying what I'm doing, if it's just for money, I'm not in it for just that, right?
Okay.
And you got to, because I built this as a lifestyle business. I know people may think that's crazy, but I actually enjoy what I do. Like I actually am very passionate in helping small business owners, small, medium-sized business owners. And if they see that and maybe it resonates with people, great. If not, there's other vendors. There's all these people that want to do a lot of great things. It's okay, right? Like I'm okay with that. And business owners have to decide who they want to work with. And if it connects on a level that they feel like it would be a great relationship in terms of like a long-term relationship, that's who I'm resonating and trying to go after.
Yeah, the thing I love about that, the fact that it's bootstrapped and it's kind of you and it's reflective of your culture, is you're not beholden to anybody else, any pace that anybody else would set on a typical treadmill, right? This can be business of your own creation that resonates with you, that resonates with the kind of clients that you want to have. And I relate to that. I mean, it's been a 13-year journey with Startup Junkie and our associated brands. And I don't wake up any morning thinking I'm marching to the beat of someone else's drum. It's kind of like a movement for us. I think all of us shared in the organization. There's a lot of satisfaction in that. We don't have to be KPMG or E&Y or Accenture. We're going to be the best startup support organization we can be. And I really, what you said really resonates. I think more business owners and founders, if they take a step back from that typical mythology that comes from the Valley and elsewhere, and they think about what they really want to get out of it in terms of satisfaction and self-actualization, all those other things that really give you a sense of being and quality peace of mind, it's a good place to be. And it's not talked about enough, quite honestly. I think the mythology is talked about a little too much.
Yeah, and a lot of people are swayed by, influence or people that they see and resonate with, or maybe not. Like, they see big figures, they see people on television, media, and they portray them as bigger than life kind of humans. And yes, it's great to be ultra wealthy and all that, but in reality, what do people actually want in life? Like, after this pandemic, during this pandemic, what really mattered to humans? Like, you in your circle of influence and people that you connect with, it's really the time and the people and the experiences that really matter in someone's life. If you can endure and not being dictated and controlled by startup money or VC money, and you can go at your own pace, make your own decisions and live with it, failure or success, you can continue sleeping at night, making sure that it's a moral thing, right? You can ensure that you're doing the right thing for the right people, right?
Exactly.
It goes a long way, because it's the same thing with the type of clients and staff that I get to pick and choose, right? And it's collective now, because for me, it's like a family, and we kind of do things collectively, making sure that we're doing it for the survival of this company and agency. Because once you start doing it, not for funding or money or 10x or whatever it is, and just doing it because you have this lifestyle that you want to endure. And everyone wants to just improve their lifestyle with more choice and abundance, right? And they understand they don't need to 10x it, right? To make this extra quick buck, right? But they want to just enjoy more fruits of their labor, which is maybe some more time away, freedom of just spending time with family more, right? Travel a little bit more, but they love the culture where they hang out with friends and they are all in the same kind of mindset and vision of helping support the small, medium-sized business owners. And it resonates with them, so that for me, it's like just building this culture has been a lot of work, but a lot of fun. And I'm going to continue doing this because I love the team, I love the clients, and I love what I'm doing, because there's so many different projects I want to do, but just not enough time. And I don't need to scale it and grow it and do it 3 months away, like 6 months, and burn myself out. I could take 3 years and I'm okay with it.
That's awesome. And you mentioned earlier a book launch. Tell us a little bit about, you've got a book coming out?
Yeah, that's in the works. I mean, I finished my first draft, wasn't happy with it. I'm redoing the first draft with a different editor. It's going to take some time, and it's going to be in alignment with a community that I'm working on too. Because the community is, again, to support small, medium-sized businesses that can't afford my SEO services. So I'm trying to offer it at a lower level that are more self-taught, right? So the whole drive is really to support the small, medium-sized businesses, and people can't afford a lot of different price tiers, right? But they want to do it themselves. Sure, I'll help them. But don't expect me to do all of it, because that's time, right? And people will pay more for expertise and, saving from, Home Depot, try to do it yourself versus an expert as a plumber. People will pay for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that book journey is, enjoy it. Myself and Jeff Standrich's business partner recently went through that as well. Where we were talking about what it takes to create a startup ecosystem in an unexpected place like where we are. And it was about a 2-year odyssey, but enjoy it. And when you get done with it and it's actually pushed out and you've got it on Amazon or wherever else, you'll take a lot of satisfaction in that. And it is good because if you think about it as sort of like an evangelical mission, which it sounds a whole lot like you do, you're going to plant a lot of seeds with people and it'll come back to you, many, many, many times over. So enjoy that journey. It's daunting, but you'll get there.
Well, being a content creator, like creating a podcast, right? Creating a YouTube channel or creating a community, all these are a lot of work.
Mhm.
And, you need a team to do it all. Like if it was just me trying to do it all, like there's no way I want to learn this because I have no expertise in any of like production or editing and all this content creation. I needed to make sure that I have a foundation in place, which was the agency, the business, to support some of my other initiatives. And that's how it allowed me to like continue wanting and being excited to do all these initiatives, because it's not for everyone and people are complacent. When they get to a certain level, they're like happy. I'm never happy because I feel like there's so much more I can learn and do and impact others. And I'm always with this energy to every staff, every client I have, because I love life, right? Like I love just wanting to do more with the limited time that we have in life.
And for those of you that are listening and not watching on YouTube, John's got an incredible background full of all the books that I'm sure he's read every one of them. And that's a real background, you said, right? That's not a virtual background. Those are all real books. So I am sure it's going to be very rewarding when you add your book to that collection there. We'll have to send you Jeff's book as well to add to the collection.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's an awesome backdrop. I've been envious the whole time because we've got our cheesy blue and gold virtual backgrounds, and that's so cool with the collection of books behind you.
Yeah, it took me a couple years to put together. Like I've just recently spent a ton of time absorbing content, because when you're an entrepreneur, you have no time to do the stuff that you want to do, right? It's when you build a team, when you have systems and processes in place, and you remove yourself away from being in the business to now working on the business, that allows you to really look at the big picture, look at what you can do better, effectively, productively, efficiently, improve different bottlenecks and processes. And, it's fun, right? It's a different phase of your business, as opposed to just grinding it out to pay the bill, right? Salary. Now you move on, right? And I'm enjoying this aspect of the business journey.
Awesome. Well, one of the questions we like to ask as we kind of land the plane is we encourage our guests, our entrepreneurs, to reflect back to, before they embarked on that journey, that entrepreneurial journey. And if you had the opportunity to go back in time and visit with your younger self, what advice might you give yourself?
Start earlier maybe, because, I did start when I was, 32, right? And yes, I had 10 years of sales experience. I had a lot of real life business interactions. And I felt I'm very lucky to have met thousands of business owners. And I felt those business owners gave me so much wisdom, gave me so much nuggets of content and pieces I'm using today, because they were, in my mind, successful, right? And that's who I really wanted to connect with. And, just start earlier. Anyone can do a lot of things if their mindset is there, if they have that grit, perseverance, and hard work ethic. But don't give up, right? Like people give up because they don't, they're not sure of what's on the other end, right? How much time should you commit? Yes, do a lot of due diligence, strategize, make sure that you have your support system in place to make sure you can do things and fill it. And it's so rewarding when you start getting, some referrals or a great testimonial. It's great when you get feedback from your staff. Like, you inspire me. These little comments makes me want to continue doing what I'm doing, because that's what business ownership or life is about, right? Like watching people grow, evolve, and they take nuggets from and they look up to you. It's like crazy. People look up to you as a business owner. It's insane, but it's so rewarding to see it. And they tell you, and I'm like, me? No way. I'm just the average guy from like immigrant family, like, but they love it. And I look at that like I can make a difference. I can slowly impact a little bit more people every day, like one or two people, and slowly that will, hopefully have a ripple effect.
That's really good, John. And your enthusiasm and your optimism is infectious, and I can see why you built a successful team. I mean, it comes out in everything that you say. As our audience, if they want to connect with you and learn more about the agency and what you're doing, or you personally, what's the best way for them to find you?
Yeah, my agency is local SEO search.ca. I also own .com, but it's really not like out there. .ca because we're here in Canada, but we do service clients, globally. And best way to reach out to me directly, I mean, in the team page, you could probably find John Vuong. I'm the founder, and you can connect with me on LinkedIn. That's probably the only place I'm active, I would say. Yes, we have a company page on all those social channels, but me being active, I'm not really into social media.
Well, geez, thanks a lot for coming on. It's great talking to you today, and best of luck as you continue to follow your journey and continue building a fantastic business. So glad
Thank you so much for having me. I had a lot of fun. Thank you.
Yeah, take care.
Take care, John.